My boyfriend said he knew he was not going to marry me, but he chose to date me for 8 years.
If you like, donate your kidney to one of them. He still no go marry you.
He will not marry you. It's the one a dodo guess na him name pass. Very dull and not smart.
If you like, do backflips. He still no go marry you.
If you have been with that man for 5 years or more, he still has not married you, he don't want you.
Some people are telling me getting married will be hard for you. Who will want to marry you? Men will be scared to marry you.
He will not marry you. Some of you have already clicked off. Somewhere out there is a woman who has been dating a man for 6 years, some even 7, 8 years, and they are whispering, God forbid. But stay with me, because this conversation is not actually about him. It's about something much scarier. It's about what happens when hope becomes stronger than reality. Christians can discern demons. We can actually discern witches and even false prophets. But somehow, we can't discern when a man doesn't want us, or at least want us enough to marry us. Suddenly, the gift of discernment leaves the building. A woman will notice that a stranger looked at her funny in church and say, "The Holy Spirit showed me something." But the man who has been prayerfully considering marriage since the administration of Moses, there is not a whisper from the realm, no revelation, no discernment, no sign, no wonder, nothing, just vibes. Today I wanted to talk about that because some people are waiting for a proposal that is never coming. Deep down, you already know it. There is a particular kind of relationship that actually fascinates me. They are not toxic, they are not even abusive, so you can't even say what exactly the problem is. I'm talking about relationships that are almost something, almost committed, almost moving forward, but that's it. It doesn't ever go past that. The relationship that permanently exists in the future. Every conversation sounds like New Year, next year. Every promise sounds like later. Like it's coming, but it's never arriving. It's like ordering food from a restaurant and then 3 hours later, there is no food, there is no delivery driver, no updates, no refund, nothing. At some point, you're not waiting for the food, you're participating in a miracle service. And some relationships actually feel exactly like that. Every year, there's a new explanation, a new reason why we are not moving to the next level. There's a new obstacle. And every year, the woman becomes more emotionally invested because the trap is the longer you've waited, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because the relationship got better or your man became a better human being. No. It's because now living feels expensive. You've invested years, tears, prayers, hope, energy. You don't want to believe it was all for nothing. And so you stay. It's not because you're convinced, but because you're committed to your investment. And that is why many people become trapped. Can I ask you a dangerous question? What if the biggest obstacle is not confusion? What if it is clarity? What if the problem is not that you don't know? What if you do know and you don't like the answer? Because people always say, if he did not want to marry you, why didn't he just tell you? I have the answer. Most people don't like to be villains in other people's stories. They don't want to be the bad guys. Sometimes people don't leave, they just stop moving forward. And so they hope that you leave. They leave you in a relationship purgatory. Not close enough to commit and not far enough to release you. Just enough affection to keep you alive and keep hope alive. But that's the thing, hope is powerful. Hope can make people ignore reality for years. Hope can turn observation and obvious answers into complicated mysteries. Hope can make someone call stagnation waiting on God. And now we have Christians spiritualizing situations that God never started. Every delay becomes a prophecy. Every excuse becomes spiritual warfare. You see yourself every single year becoming a testimony in progress. Meanwhile, everybody outside the relationship is looking around like, am I the only one saying this? Can't she see that this guy is not serious about her? I know it's getting a lot uncomfortable in the house, so, well, it's gonna get hotter. Sometimes we're not waiting for a man, we're waiting for a version of him that does not even exist. The future version that may never become. You see that mature version you're waiting for, the ready man that you have in your head. He may never be your man. You know that version, the version that appears when you're finally tired. Suddenly he has a vision, suddenly he has plans, he has timelines, and God starts speaking to him all of a sudden. That's amazing, right? But this happens only when you are about to leave. And then they give you crumbs of bread and you stay a little longer. In this your relationship, God always seems to speak right before you pack your bags. Isn't that a remarkable coincidence? But 6 months later, nothing changes. You have only words of promise. I'll tell you why. Because the version you fell in love with was not the man, it was the potential. And potential has broken more hearts than bad character would ever break hearts. Bad character is obvious, but you see, potential, it is seductive. Potential says, just wait, he's getting there. God is still working on him. Don't give up on him now. Potential can keep somebody trapped for a decade. Let me tell you something that nobody likes to hear. Marriage is not something a man accidentally forgets. People act like men wake up one morning shocked, like, oh wow, marriage. Oh, I completely forgot. I was supposed to get married. No, that's not how it works. If marriage is important to him, it occupies space in his thinking. And no, it's not because he's pressured, but because he wants it. And because he's not discussing it with you does not mean he's not thinking about it. There's a difference. And when he meets the one that fits into that description of what he has in mind, it will take only a minute before he makes up his mind. That's why when you're dealing with a man, understand that actions matter more than the speech that he gives. Because talk is cheap now. Everybody sounds committed during emotional conversations. Everybody sounds serious when they are afraid of losing something. But the question is, what happens afterwards when they are sure that you are tied? When the emotions settle, when life returns to normal, what direction is the relationship actually moving? Because direction is what you listen to, not promises. Now, before somebody gets angry, this is not saying every relationship should lead to marriage in 6 months. That's not the point. The point is movement, purpose, intentionality. That feeling that both people are building towards something. And it shouldn't be like you're camping in uncertainty forever. Because uncertainty was never meant to become a permanent address. But you all have lived for years. You've decorated what you have. You've bought furniture, raised expectations, made themselves comfortable. You see, that place where you are is supposed to be temporary. And so ask yourself, how many years is enough? Seriously. How many years is enough? At what point does waiting stop being patience and start becoming avoidance? Let me know your answers in the comments. So let's get back to this. Everybody has a different number. I think the conversation matters. The hardest part of this topic is not accepting that somebody won't marry you. The hardest part is accepting that you may have ignored evidence because you desperately wanted a different outcome. Now that's human. That's not to blame you for it. It's okay to actually believe in somebody, especially someone that you really like. We've all done it. Not just in relationships, I'm talking in friendships and careers and businesses and dreams. Sometimes reality whispers long before it screams, but whispers are easily ignored, especially when the fantasy sounds better. But here is the good news. This video is not about hopelessness. It's actually about freedom. Because once you stop forcing yourself to believe a story that is not happening, you become available for the story that God is actually writing for you. And that changes everything. The moment you stop negotiating with reality, peace starts showing up. It might not be immediately, but eventually, you stop analyzing every text, every delay, every excuse, every mixed signal. You stop trying to decode somebody who has been giving you an answer through their actions. And life gets lighter. Maybe he will marry you, maybe he will not. I don't know your relationship, I don't know your story, but I do know this. A proposal should not be the only thing keeping a relationship alive. And hope should never require you to ignore reality, because God may ask you to walk by faith, but He never asks you to pretend that you cannot see. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to stop waiting for someone to become who they've spent years showing you that they do not want to be. That's not bitterness, that's wisdom. Now, wisdom may hurt before it heals, but it heals anyway. And that's the point of this message. If this message has challenged you, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think people stay too long in relationships, or do we give up too quickly? I'll see you in the comment section.